Hey, what's going on, guys? It's just Dogs, and welcome to or back to my channel. Now, originally I intended on waiting for Carson to make a response so I could have both sides of the story before I made a video on Carson, and that's just kind of what I was waiting on for my next video. But I just don't see that happening at this point. He has taken a really long time to make any sort of response, and hopefully for his sake he is writing up a fat-ass Google Doc. But today, instead of just waiting for Carson to make a response so I can finally make a video about that, I decided I wanted to make a video about this situation because it hit me on a personal level. Now, this hit me on a personal level because this is a YouTuber I used to watch when I was way younger, like probably just barely double digits age, and seeing what these accusations are really cuts deep. Now, having said that, these are only accusations, and so I can't say for a fact that he has done this. Now, I'm making a point that these are only allegations because from what I've seen from other YouTubers' videos is that he is trying to take down other people's videos or claim them so that they can't make any money off of it, and basically just trying to, shove everything under the rug. Now, because I'm a smaller channel and I'm not monetized, I'm not as worried about stuff like that, so I will be saying his name. But I also don't want to make it come off like I'm saying this is for a fact what he did, when these are all just allegations. Even though my language may sound like I'm saying this is what he for sure did 100%, these are just allegations. Now that I have all that dealt with, you're probably wondering who I'm talking. So today's video is about CapnDesDes Smith, also known as CapnDesDes. Now, this hit me on a personal level, not because I actually know CapnDesDes, but because I used to watch him a lot when I was much younger. And he is currently being accused of grooming along with manipulation, and seeing these allegations is really disheartening, especially knowing the kind of fan base he has. Now, I used to watch him on Shane Dawson's channel, which should have been a red flag already, but he had his own little show on Shane Dawson's channel called What the Fuck News, where he covered random internet news stories, and little me found that quite interesting. Now, I don't know if it was the inherent edgy nature of a news show called What the Fuck News, or the fact that he looked like an emo boy, and me at the time thought that was like the coolest style there is, and I really wanted to be emo and all of that type of stuff. But I really liked watching that show. Now, as a young boy, the whole style that I thought was cool were kind of the same on young girls of the same age, but instead they thought that CapnDesDes was hot and started getting crushes on him as young girls on the internet would do. Which is fine because normally YouTubers have plenty of young fans that idolize them or even sexualize them, but they understand the difference between an adult and a child. But according to a lot of these accusations targeted towards CapnDesDes, he did not understand this distinction. And that, my good friends, is what brought us to this video today. Now, this started with a person doing a trend on TikTok where they revealed that at the age of 12, they got into contact with a YouTuber. They didn't say in the original TikTok, but the YouTuber in question basically used this 12-year-old to only talk in a sexual manner. And at the time that I downloaded the video, it had over 150,000 likes, and there was a lot of questioning in the comments as to who this YouTuber was. Now, I'm going to play the TikTok right now. Obviously, if you're sensitive to this kind of topic, you should click away or just not look at it, but here it is.
I'm gonna be just like you, no matter what you say I can do. I'll follow you until the day I can smile at you and say, Big brother, I'm just...
Now, apparently she did a video afterwards where she revealed who it was, saying it is CapnDesDes Smith or CapnDesDes, but he took it down, and she says so in this video here.
Yesterday I made a video letting everybody know that the creepy YouTuber I was talking about was CapnDesDes. And he reported it for harassment and bullying, which, by the way, CapnDesDes, stupid thing to do. See, I wasn't even going to tell anybody, the gross stuff that he had sent me or he had told me, because somehow I thought that it was my fault. I thought that I must have been the only girl, who had fell into that. But that's not true. Turns out there's literally tens and tens, maybe even over 100 girls that Destry has done the exact same thing to. The entire comment section was filled with people saying, oh, he tried to get pictures from me when I was 12. Oh, he groomed my little sister. Oh, he tried to hang out with me when I was 14 in Orlando. Even Nathan, the person he used to make videos with, came out and spoke up about Destry. And I think it's stupid to get that video taken down, because now all that means is I need to take all those stories and put them into YouTube.
But later on, she did make a video that is still up that basically describes her whole encounter with Destry. And I'll play it for you guys right now.
Hi, no hate to this comment right here. I just kind of want to talk about why I've been torn about saying who this is, because the only reason I've even thought about him is I saw one of his videos on my For You page. I was like, holy shit, this was a YouTuber that I'd been following since I was 12. His entire fan base is young girls, because he was cute, and the only thing I'm going to say is he's emo. And I had gotten in contact with him because he had put his Snapchat up on Twitter late at night and said that it was for any of his fans who he wanted to talk to. He was bored. Whatever, motherfucker. And so we talk, and not really talk, he hits on me, and he's like, oh, I'm hard in the room with the guy I used to film videos with, and it was just very kind of childhood ruining.
It's basically just a recount of what she said in the original TikTok. But I still think it is important to get her story in a more formal way so we know exactly what her situation with Destry was. Now, the beautiful thing about the internet is that when someone finally decides to come out and say, this person did this to me, a lot of other victims come out and start saying their own stories, which I think is just great when you're trying to get just a scope of all of the misdeeds that this person has done, even if these are just allegations. Now, this whole situation with this first TikToker made way for an actually unique story to come out, because one of Destry's friends of 14 years decided to come out with his encounters with Destry and what he's kind of done to him. Now, this person's video is done in 4 parts, so I'm going to actually stitch these together. I just wanted to warn you guys so you don't think that these jump cuts are me tampering with this person's story.
Just want to say that this is probably going to take multiple parts, so bear with me. I also need to say that this is pretty hard for me to make, so sorry if it's all jumbled up and doesn't make sense. With this TikTok coming out, I feel like it's time for me to step forward and validate these people who are all in the comments and all these other people that have experiences with stuff like this happening. I'm not out for blood here, and I don't want to cause more damage than what's already been done, but there's a quote that goes, "The only thing necessary for evil to win is for good people to do nothing." Just to talk a bit about my own experience, I've been friends with Destry since 2003, and I stopped being friends with him in 2017. So basically I've known him for 14 years. I can't really speak about things that he's done to other people because it's not my place to bring up potentially traumatic experiences for other people. But what I can tell you is why I personally quit being his friend. And again, there is so much more than just this one thing that happened. I also want to give a little bit of a disclaimer that all of the people that I'm about to talk about have given me permission to talk about this. So this story involves me, Destry, his girlfriend at the time, Amber, and Evie Davis. So in 2017, I became friends with Evie, and shortly after that, I told Destry that I was interested in dating her. And what Destry had told me was that he broke up with his girlfriend Amber and was already dating Evie. And he was telling his girlfriend Amber at the time that the only reason he was talking to Evie was because he wanted to hook her up with me. Long story short, I contacted Amber, who was out of state visiting her parents, and I asked her how her and Destry were doing. She told me that he was telling her that he missed her and that he couldn't wait for her to come home. And that's when his whole web of lies came crumbling down. As for the other things that he's done, I've met a handful of people who have shared their experiences with me. And I think that the sad and scary thing is that we've probably only scratched the surface of the things that he's done. Anyways, after all that happened, I was just so disgusted by all of the lying and the cheating that I have not spoken a single word to Destry since. I also want to say that my heart goes out to all the people who have been affected by him. Trust me, I know how it feels. Leaving my best friend of 14 years was probably one of the hardest things I had to do, but it was a choice I had to make to be in integrity with myself. Lastly, I just want to say thank you to everyone listening.
Nate's story accounts for Destry being super manipulative just to get what he wants, as well as cheating on his girlfriend, which is the obvious one. Now, on a personal level, if one of my friends did that to me, even if it was a longtime friend like that, I would definitely cut ties with them like Nate did. But I do think, especially if Destry has changed and stopped doing this kind of stuff, it shouldn't be something that he should have his whole career ruined over. Everyone makes mistakes in the past, but the real question is, has he changed for the better now? However, Nate's video did spark another person to come out with their story. This one is once again in a 4-part series of videos, so I'm going to be putting them all together. So I'm going to play that for you now.
Okay, so I want to start out by saying that if you haven't seen this
So, I really didn't ever want to come forward about this because every time I wanted to, I just felt so many emotions and so many traumatic memories surface, and for a long time I really held on to hope that he was a good person deep down and that he just made mistakes and that he would change. And then some friends of mine, some good friends of mine, basically came forward to me and told me about a lot of other things that he had done. And it just kind of solidified the fact that he's a fucked up person and he has been a pedophile. I don't know if he still is a pedophile, but he has definitely been one. And I can't live with the fact that he still has such a huge platform and so many people have been affected negatively by him, and there seems to be no retribution or no repercussions on his career, and it's fucked up. So, just to confirm, to anyone wondering, when I was 13, I discovered Destry, or I was probably 12, and when I was 13, I started messaging him on Twitter, and he started replying, and we exchanged, like, flirty messages, and then I sent him, like, nudes and stuff, like pictures of my butt. And then I eventually, like a month later, I think I told him, I feel bad, like I'm actually only 13 or 14. I think I lied and said I was 14. But still, it doesn't matter if I was 13, 14, or 15. It's fucking disgusting for a 20-year-old man. A 20-year-old man! To receive nudes from a teenage girl. Not an 18-year-old girl, a fucking child. And to offer to fly me out, to stay with him, to have sex with him. I wasn't gonna be there to fucking play Jenga. We ended up talking pretty much every day for a while. And I was young and naive, so I thought that I was special to him. I thought we were, like, on our way to boyfriend-girlfriend, and I had fantasies, like, I had watched him for so long that I would, like, stare at his face and just be like, oh my god, I want to marry him, I want to be with him, I want to be, like, the one girl that's so special that he chooses me, and, like, we live happily ever after together. Anyways, so I started to think that this is where this was going. No. Because I went on his Twitter and his likes, and I started finding other girls that were making it seem like he was in a relationship with them. And upon further investigation and talking to these girls, they were like, oh yeah, he went to a carnival with me and kissed me on the Ferris wheel just last week. And they were 15-year-old girls! Oh my god, it's so disgusting. But yeah, long story short, I was not the only one. There are probably hundreds, if not thousands, of young girls who have been used, exploited, and groomed by Destry because of his presence and because of his power and his influence that he's accumulated. And I'm really grateful for Nate. Thank you, Nate, for making your video, because if you wouldn't have, I probably would not be expressing this and sharing this to the public like I am. I've always felt like I needed to do it, and your quote about, like, good people standing by is what allows evil people to do what they do. And I never want to believe anyone's evil, but honestly, pedophilia is pretty fucking evil. To anyone who has been a victim, I stand with you 100%, completely. I'm here for you.
Now, with this story, she clearly lied about her age initially, and then told him that she was 13, or she lied and said she was 14. But either way, she did tell him that she was a minor, but then she goes on to say that he continued to talk to her for a while and made her feel special, once again showing his manipulative personality. Now, these are the major videos that I've seen being shared when it comes to talking about this whole situation, and from the videos, especially from bigger YouTubers that I've seen, They have pretty much only shown these videos, which I think is a really big shame, because there is a thread on Twitter which has a lot of stories of people talking about their encounters with DesDes. Now I'd like to read one story from the thread that really stood out to me. It's one of the more popular ones on the thread. I will leave a link in the description to the thread so that if you guys would like to read other stories, you can go ahead. But this seems to be the most popular one on the thread, as well as it has a lot of information that I think really condemns DesDes. For this segment of the video, I'd like to do a live reading of the story I want to read. But I do want to quickly say shout out to @YeahSureIGuess on Twitter, because they posted this post, which then got a lot of replies with other people's accounts of DesDes' misconduct and stuff like that. Now today I'll be covering this person's story @KendraMeow. And I would like to apologize because I do really suck at reading, and so I will tend to get a lot monotone in my voice. But other than that, I hope you guys are ready to listen. I met DesDes Smith when I was 14 years old, and he was a month and a half away from turning 18. I was an awkward freshman who had never had a boyfriend, so when some cool senior guy started messaging me online and saying he saw me in the halls and felt like there was something about me that drew him in and made me impossible to stop thinking about, of course I felt really special. This was when he was getting popular on YouTube, so he was well known around our small town, which really started to inflate his already big ego. At the same time, he was getting involved with me. Nathan was getting involved with my best friend, who I'll just refer to as C, as well. So for pretty much the rest of my freshman year, we were chatting online and writing notes to each other and definitely being romantic. But we had to keep it a secret because according to him, his ex-girlfriend still had feelings for him and he didn't want to hurt her. When in reality, they were still involved as well, and he was just using us both. He also started to get involved with my friend C, which caused a lot of issues in our friendship, and she was also only a freshman. I found journal entries of mine from when I was 14 and he was 18. One of them says, I was texting him today and told him I was bored, and he told me I should come play with his privates. I don't really know why he said that or anything. He also basically taught me how to take nudes at this time, which I would send him an email so that my mom wouldn't know. For years afterwards, he would tell me about a hard drive he keeps hidden somewhere with all the nudes he's ever received on it, and use this as a threat to hold over my head. Obviously, now I realize if that's true, he would be in possession of child porn. The summer between 9th and 10th grade for me, and after he had graduated, we got more seriously involved, and things were a lot more sexual between us. We would be hanging out with friends, and he would always find a way to get a blanket over our laps or something so he could put his hand down my pants / put my hand down his without anyone in the same room being able to see. I can still remember being so uncomfortable but not able to do anything or say anything about it without making this situation obvious to our friends too, so I just let it happen every time. He was the first guy I'd ever been involved with, so I thought it must not be that weird. The lying about his ex-girlfriend and still seeing her at the same time, while also lying to her about me, I'm sure, was still happening. And she had been severely bullying me along with her group of friends, and when I was in 10th grade, and she was a senior, things escalated to the point of her friends threatening to beat the shit out of me when they would see me outside of school. I became suicidal and ended up in a mental hospital for a week in October of that year, and DesDes never had and never would do anything to stand up for me. After being in the hospital, my mom took me out of that school, and shortly afterwards we moved to a bigger town about 45 minutes away. DesDes and I had been officially dating, but he told me we had to go on a break because of the distance and because I wasn't 16 yet. But at the same time, he was pressuring me to have sex with him. I told him I wasn't ready, and he would complain that he didn't want to be dating someone he couldn't have sex with, and I made a deal that I would consider it by my 16th birthday. I ended up not having much of a say in it, though, because right before my 16th birthday, he basically said I owed it to him, so I let it happen. I vividly remember crying afterwards and him getting mad because I was making him feel bad. Our relationship continued on with things just getting worse from there. We were official, and people online were talking to me a lot because of him, and he didn't like it. He didn't even want me having any friends at my new school and got angry if I even talked to another guy. He once took my phone and ran to the bathroom with it, where he locked himself in to go through my text. He was living with his friend Chris Patterson at this time, after also moving to the same apartment complex in the town my mom and I moved to. And Chris would harass me constantly, which DesDes just thought was funny. DesDes was constantly making me feel bad about myself, telling me I would never be able to find another boyfriend as good as him if he ever dumped me, while also telling me I was his soulmate and other garbage like that. He would also tell me he'd record himself doing things to me in my sleep and always made me feel terrified of upsetting him. One time I borrowed his MacBook under the guise that it was so we could play WoW together, but really he had put a keylogger on it and used that to get into and delete all of my social media accounts. I even made a YouTube video about how we'd been hacked, because he messed with his own stuff a little bit to make it look that way. As he got more and more popular online and started traveling for cons and stuff, he started talking to and getting close to more fans. Come to find, there are multiple other girls, some who were younger than I was, who he was sexting and trading nudes with. A lot of them even thought they were in a relationship with him and he wasn't involved with anyone else. All the while, I'm literally coming to his apartment every night pretty much for him to just have sex with me, and then I would just sit and watch him play video games. Lots of people either sent me mean anonymous messages online about how they were also involved with him, or people would come forward to warn me about him, but I was young and being manipulated by him into thinking other people were just being jealous. There was so much gaslighting and manipulation that went on during this time. It all kind of blurs together, yet it feels like we were together for many more years than we were. We eventually cut involvement because he moved to Florida. But over the years since then, he would still contact me to say he missed me and that he still thought we would get married someday. His last attempt at making contact with me wasn't even 2 years ago. It's taken me a very long time, I'm 26 now, to really grasp the extent of the damage he did to me, and there's so much more I didn't even mention here. I was sexually and emotionally abused for years and made to think it was normal, and I was lucky for him even wanting to treat me that way. I'm so sorry to anyone else he's hurt, and I hope that everyone coming forward can help prevent him from hurting more people. Now, obviously, that's a really powerful story, talking about knowing Destry since he was in high school. Destry Smith now being 30 years old. But once again, I do encourage you to check the description for the link to the thread so you can read more stories about this whole situation. But that's about all I have for today's video. Once again, I'd like to say these are just purely allegations. There's no proof that Destry has done this. But I would like to keep it in mind that he has yet to make a response to this situation, so he may have defense to back up everything, and he might be not guilty of any of this, but I'll leave that up to you guys to decide. But I'd like to thank you guys for watching this far. I know my voice can tend to get monotone and boring, but I am thankful for you guys who stick through my videos. I did get a really nice comment on my last video, which really encouraged me to make a new video, even though I was waiting on the Carson situation to kind of wrap up. But I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Peace.